Aloha, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us for this HIFILM panel, The Rise of the Vertical Drama. As you just saw, we have three incredible guests that are very tapped into what's happening with the vertical drama market right now. And of course, our artistic director, Anderson Lay, is going to be joining us to moderate. First, I wanted to just say again, thanks for joining us today, for everyone just logging on. I'm the HIFILM Industry Manager, Jane Park. And, I wanted to remind everyone that HIFILM membership is a year-round benefits of workshops, panels, mixers, events like this. We had a storytellers lab, and coming up at our film festival is our inaugural HIFILM Industry Conference. So it's very exciting, October 24th to the 26th. Everyone can go online and check out our amazing guests. We're partnering with NBC Universal. We're partnering, Chief of War is going to be having a couple panels, and Oscar winner Ben Proudfoot and Glenn Gaynor to do a keynote. So we're very excited about this conference. It's free meals included, free parking. So check it out and please spread the word about our first ever HIFILM Industry Conference coming up at HIF 45. Now I'm going to hand it over to Anderson, and he's going to bring out our guests, and everyone enjoy this awesome panel. Mahalo.
Thank you. Hey, thank you, Jana. Thank you for everyone for joining this HIFILM virtual panel. It's titled "The Rise of the Vertical Drama: The Dirty Little Secret of Indie Film, or What Pays the Bills." So, in the wake of COVID and industry-wide strikes, a new wave of storytelling has gained momentum: the vertical drama. These fast-paced, mobile-first productions, shot vertically for platforms like ReelShort, DramaBox, and ShortMax, just for example, originated in East China, in East Asia, especially in mainland China, and have grown into a multi-billion-dollar industry. Now they're taking off in the West as traditional productions slow down and creators look for new income streams. Once seen as a stopgap or side hustle, vertical dramas are proving to be a fast, low-cost, and highly engaging way to reach global audiences. And for filmmakers in Hawaii, this panel explores how we might learn from this shift, whether by attracting vertical drama shoots to the islands or creating our own place-based stories in this format. We'll dive into these production models, monetization strategies, and give unique and look into the unique creative opportunities that this trend presents. Vertical is no longer a trend; it's a new frontier. So it's my great pleasure to introduce our panelists today who are working in the vertical drama space. First off, I'd like to introduce Xu Zhu. Xu is a Chinese Canadian director working across narrative film, animation, and immersive media. His work explores themes of psychological transformation and environmental collapse through a genre-forward lens, and has been showcased at festivals like Venice, Busan, Telluride, and many other international festivals and art institutions. And in 2023, Xu was among the first wave of directors working in the emerging medium of vertical short dramas in the U.S. and North America, and has since directed 15 series across major platforms and garnered over 200 million views. Xu, thanks for being here. I know you're zooming in from China, so thank you for
Yes.
Being a part of this panel.
Thank you for having me, Anderson.
Yeah, absolutely. Next, we have Belle Zhang. Belle is a filmmaker with an international background, holding a BA in film and from the University of Toronto, and an MA in film production from Goldsmiths, University of London. She has produced over 13 vertical dramas, known for clear storytelling and strong audience appeal. Her hit series, Mafia's Tender Torture, stayed at the top of overseas short drama charts for more than 5 months and is still the platform's most popular title, with tens of millions of views and fans worldwide. Belle is recognized for delivering high-quality work on tight schedules and creating stories that connect with audiences across cultures, and she continues to create cinematic experiences that captivate audiences worldwide. Belle, thank you for being here. You're zooming in from Los Angeles, is that correct?
Yes. Hi, everyone. Thank you for having me, Anderson. Very excited.
No, thanks for being here. And then finally, we have Miguel Angel Heyu. Miguel is a passionate cinematographer and camera operator with a decade of experience in film, originally from Mexico and now based in Vancouver. His deep appreciation for storytelling cultural perspectives make him a keen observer and critical thinker behind the lens. In June 2024, Miguel began working on vertical dramas as a camera operator, quickly advancing to a full-time cinematographer by September of the same year. You play the key role in shaping the visual style of hit series Mafia Tender Torture and Love Me Like You Do, overseeing lighting and camera direction to bring the story to life. With commitment to creating compelling and visually striking narratives, Miguel looks forward to crafting more projects that resonate with audiences around the world. So, Miguel, thank you for zooming in as well. You're zooming in from Mexico, right?
That's right. Thank you, Anderson, for having me.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
Thanks.
super excited to be here and share with all of you our perspectives about this new wave.
Yes, thanks. And I think this is going to be a very interesting, scintillating conversation. So actually, I have a connection with Shu, and we're friends, and we were working on projects together and whatnot. And Shu, when I first met you, you were like just graduated from AFI, with your MFA from AFI, and working on just like independent art house projects, like and whatnot, and but then you kind of went into and you're originally from China, from
Yes.
Dacheng, right? And then
Yes.
moved to Canada, and then went to New York and LA. But now you're so basically, I knew you as more of a very traditionally independent art house filmmaker, making complete art house films essentially. And then you kind of fell into kind of vertical dramas. I think partly because you are originally from China, and lots of these vertical drama platforms. They're basically originally from China, with Chinese executives, Chinese storytellers. They have a huge library of Chinese vertical dramas that are adapting for the Western market. So I think that's kind of it kind of like makes it easy for you to basically jump into the fold and being integrated into the whole process, right? So can you talk about kind of like your trajectory? Because I first met you when you were basically just in the film festival world, or just making short films, or making independent Chinese sci-fi and whatnot. What is how did you fall into kind of like getting into vertical dramas?
So I think it basically, I kind of just fell into it out of necessity of needing to pay bills because the art house films are not cutting it. And like my favorite directors back when I was in film school was like Lars von Trier, David Lynch. So I was really interested in like super experimental, like just very niche art house stuff. And then after film school, it's just been like years of trying to develop things, working very random jobs. And then just trying to push this independent feature film to happen, but it was just really difficult with the current landscape of the industry, and then the pandemic happened. So I kind of got into verticals because I was talking to my friend, and she was like, "Hey, I just did this thing last month, and it was kind of really wild. Do you want to try?" And I was like, "What is it?" She's like, "It's this vertical drama." And I did it, and I just got 110 million views. And you should look into this. Like the pay is not too much, but at least you'll be directing, and it's also just like really really wild how many views I got in such a short amount of time. And you should experience what that feels like to have your work viewed by so many people. So I got very curious because she's right. I made a bunch of short films before, and it got into like multiple different festivals, but I feel like the total amount of viewers I've gotten, like out of all the work I've done, is probably maybe in the tens of thousands. And it's just like, and I was just like totally shocked at how many views she was getting. So I looked into this further, and I found a bunch of YouTube videos of YouTubers basically like shit talking about all these vertical drama, just poking fun of it, because the titles are really ridiculous. And I went on the platform, the titles are like "OMG," like "You're my baby daddy" or something, like "Married for Green Card."
Yeah, or from fast food to first lady, billionaire twins, daddy, please take mommy, lagging into love. Yeah, exactly.
Married for Green Card, stayed for love. And I took myself as a very serious filmmaker, and I just I kind of really wanted to stay away from stuff like this. But I looked at all these YouTube videos of like the videos making fun of verticals, and even the videos making fun of verticals were getting like tens of millions of views. So I just kind of had a feeling that maybe there's something. there's definitely some kind of hype over this. So I told them yes, I'll try to work on one, and did one in December 2023. It was like a really smooth process. Everyone I talked to were just like kind of struggling independent filmmakers or like recent art school graduates. And actually, in fact, all the producers from these platforms were all experimental filmmakers. Like most of the executive producers I talked to, they're like, yeah, I graduated from Art Center of College of Design. I used to be a video artist. I couldn't make a living, so and then this company hit me up, and and just got on board. So like all the EPs that started off, that kind of like launched the verticals in North America, were all like experimental filmmakers in a very weird way.
So just to give, like, if people are not familiar with vertical dramas, they live on, basically there's their own platforms like ReelShort or DramaBox and ShortMax, right? And like there's a bunch of series, and they're split into kind of these 1 minute, 2 minute episodes, maybe at the most, right? And like, so basically you have a new series, you watch, maybe the first couple episodes are free, and then if you want to find out more, then it's like you pay for every new episode. Is that correct? Essentially.
Yes.
Yeah. And that could be like, I mean, how much is the cost? It ranges like 99 cents or $2 or.
I think it's by platforms, because there's multiple ways to purchase the views, and each platform may have their own way. I know that there's some that you buy kind of credits, and then you start spending the credit according to how many episodes you want to watch. Because at the end there's like like I talked to my cousin here in Mexico, and she watches them, and she has like 5 or 4 that she's watching all at the same time.
Right.
So they decide which ones to keep watching. And then there's other platforms that you just watch a whole membership for the whole month, and then you just watch it all.
Right. Yeah. So Belle, I mean, you you started your own company just focusing on producing vertical dramas, right? Can you talk about, it's called Sparkland Pictures, or?
Yeah. Actually, yeah, it's a long story. Because I wasn't in Vancouver until 2023. I was back in China doing all the reality shows, commercials, in indie films, things like that. And then the COVID comes, so all the work stopped, and I was thinking maybe I should go to study a master's degree or something. And I had my bachelor degree in Toronto, so I was thinking to change a country, to change a place to live. So I went to UK to have my official filmmaking and producing master degree. And when everything's finished, my family, we decided to move to Vancouver. So I come to Vancouver with them and start looking for a job. And I realized that all the traditional work, like in film industry work, is very slow and even stopped in Vancouver, especially after the pandemic. So it's giving me a very hard time to find a job. So I started doing some like indie short films, but like with very low pay. So of course, like it couldn't afford the bills and the living, and especially the rent and something like that. So my friends, they are back in China, they are working on verticals, and they talked to me that there's kind of this new kind of format called like vertical web series, and it became very popular in China, and they've been working on it for like almost 5 years until now, I think. And they said you should check it out, and watch all of them, the very hit trending verticals in China, and was like, wow, that could be something new like in the future. And I noticed that there's a company that are doing vertical drama in Vancouver. So the founder of Sparkland Pictures, like actually my boss, he found me and to me that if you want to join us or something. But the first show I did is with Shu, but I wasn't the producer of that time. I was his art assistant. I was doing art department. And the first show, it is Found You All Alone. And then I talked to the founder of the Sparkland Pictures, and my boss told me that you can do more than art department. You can actually do producing. And after that, I started producing verticals for our company. And then the first myself independent producing verticals is Mafia's Tenor with Miguel. And it becomes a very hit. It was crazy. Like in one day, it has almost 1 million views already. And I was like, wow, that's crazy, because you can get to see the whole episode and everything fully edited in like almost a month. That's something that you cannot imagine when you're doing traditional features or short films even. So yeah, that's why I do verticals until now.
Great, fantastic. I mean, and then everyone's like, working primarily in vertical production in Vancouver, right? I know, Miguel, you're based in Vancouver, and like, Vancouver's always been kind of like obviously a hot spot for production, especially TV production, like the CW shows, like, or any kind of Hollywood movie, like, a lot of studio projects are shot in Canada, not only in Vancouver but Toronto and whatnot, but even you have across the board, like you hear like about production drying up. Los Angeles is not much happening. Even, I mean, everyone was going to Atlanta, but that's dried up, right? Like there are runaway productions going to Ireland or going to other places, just chasing tax incentives or tax breaks or whatnot. So, but for Vancouver, it's always been, historically been very busy production wise, but now it's dried up. So Miguel, I mean, as you working in kind of as a DP and camera operator, I mean, I think also for like other team members, like working on shoots, we were all working projects together. You're working with production designers, costumers, who are historically would be working on like a TV show, right? But now they're all working on these vertical dramas. So can you talk about, Miguel, maybe talk about kind of like jumping on board in the vertical dramas and how it's been kind of like basically lot of production people are like moving into working in this format full time.
Yeah, totally. You're right about Vancouver. Vancouver has been always a hub since I think one of the biggest projects historically it was the X Files back in it's almost like I don't know how many decades ago. But yeah, there's a lot of incentives, a lot of studios, a lot of equipment, great technicians. I kind of feel like I start from the bottom and start going up through productions and going to IATSE film projects and everything. And in my perspective is there was a weird moment with COVID, and then there was two strikes of actors, or the actor strikes, and then there was the writer strikes, and then the directors that from DGA was tempting to be a strike. So all of these kind of rumors really scare productions in the way that I perceive as a technician or as a filmmaker or as a director of photography. It was like a lot of people are leaving town. They don't want to invest money. They're kind of afraid of all these variables. And there was a moment where in Vancouver there was very little work, and Sparkline at the time, they start crewing up people and then finding very talented technicians at the time. And then we start producing a lot of high quality projects. And I feel like coming from other formats, for instance, what is like movies of the week that they are like similar, kind of like feel good movies with happy endings.
Lifetime movies or like Hallmark movies. Yeah,
of course.
Yep.
That was the bottom and bread of Vancouver for many years. And there was a shift. Something happened that maybe the generations are not watching it as much. I mean, everybody in some parts of Canada, they're still watching Christmas in July, which is like a thing, right?
Sure.
But there's not enough productions happening. And I feel like a lot of this kind of mindset of shooting a project of 100 pages on 12 days, it was becoming a norm. So a lot of the crews that they come to verticals, especially at the beginning, the first stages of Vancouver vertical filmmaking, they were kind of like into it, like we're used to it to have 10 pages per day, and then keep going, because that's, I think, in my perspective, is one of the hardest things of shooting verticals is the amount of pages that you have to
Yeah.
do.
Right.
But that was my experience about how I see Vancouver as a town in filmmaking. And now it's the opposite. Now there's like too much work in the city, and I'm struggling to find high technicians, like experienced technicians now, that they can do the work
Because they're
faster or quicker.
because
The
they're
work
working
start,
they're working in other vertical dramas, or
not just that, the Vancouver itself, the industry picked up.
oh, I see.
So
Got it.
so
Got
there
it.
is
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
so many IATSE shows going on, and then
Understood.
movies of
Yeah.
the week start, and then there is more vertical companies rising
Yeah.
in Vancouver.
Yeah.
So it's like, wow, now we are competing
Sure.
in bringing quality people to make these projects.
Got
So
it.
it's, yeah.
So can talk about, like, I mean, because going to shoot, everyone's open to answer this question. Is that, working on kind of like when you have a script for vertical drama, it's like non-union. How do you circumvent basically permits and whatnot? Are you just working on private property? Are you just like, can you just talk about that? Is it more of like a very relationship in, it's all about relationships, and like, just getting, someone who owns a mansion or something, like you can be a producer, so maybe talk about kind of like what is the kind of the setup for um, working in, setting up that production for a particular drama, because like Miguel, you said, it's very fast. You have to make these things very fast, so you have to um, plan it all out ahead, and like, cut out all the paperwork and red tape. Maybe just, can you talk about kind of that process? I assume you're shooting in like private property, or like, and whatnot. Maybe just one location, or maybe very minimal locations.
Belle,
Yeah.
maybe this is your question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have to say, like, because the prep time that for us is very tight and very short. It normally will like 2 to 3 weeks for prep, but we all know, like, for in a feature film and the traditional film, in order to get a permit, it took a long time to shoot in the public places, location. So most of the location we've shot is within the private property, like the mansion and the club, restaurant, things like that. But we do also have a lot of public production. For example, like the one we shot together, Designs in Fire, is a story about firefighter, and we need to have a fire station to shoot. So you have to get a permit to shoot in the fire station. So we have to connect to the North Vancouver filming society industry, and to get the city of North Vancouver to get a permission of shooting there. But luckily, they're very efficient. So it took us a minimum time to get a permission. And we also, for some shows we have to shoot in a mall, like for the shopping. In order to shoot there, we have to get a permission as well. But that's not the most common way. Normally, we will just shoot within the private property. That's
Right.
the most of the time. Yeah.
The firefighter show, I assume there's action scenes and fire effects. How did
Yes,
you?
a lot.
Yeah. So how do you do that? I assume you directed that, right? So
Yes,
it's our team. His team. So for the fire effect, it was a mix of post-production visual effects, and also Miguel's friend, who is a practical effect artist working on also huge shows, who's also out of work. So he just came, joined us, and then we were able to pull off a bunch of crazy stuff, like shooting fireballs. And yeah, Miguel, if you want to talk about the fires.
Yeah, that was fun. That was it was a combination of real fire for some sequences and places where we had more control. Like we can control the area, we everything, right? And then for the sequences that we didn't have the full control of the location, it was a lot of hard light, the old school tungsten Fresnel lens, Fresnel lights, just doing a bunch of sequences, and that was it. That was a lot of that, and practical effects with my friend Jeff. He, like I said, at the time, at the beginning of this era, there was a lot talented people willing to come out and do all this magic for us or with us. And yeah, Jeff brought a fire thrower. Is that the name? Yeah.
Yeah.
Flamethrower.
Flamethrower.
Yeah.
That was
we had
exciting.
like multiple flame bars, and then he also built like a bunch of pillars because for like explosion scenes. So he built some pillars with just like a bunch of dirt effect, just wires, and just like he rigged a bunch of stuff, which was very, very eye-opening because coming from independent film, this was like always super inaccessible. Like even when I was making my own stuff, like we always try to avoid having anything that's too action-packed or anything that's related to special effects. So I didn't really have too much experience with that department. But this time working with Jeff, it was like an amazing opportunity to just try out a whole bunch of new tools that otherwise would have been very inaccessible for a filmmaker at my like stage of career, which is, emerging, like young, like trying to make something happen like this. It would have been quite impossible.
Right.
So a funny fact, before we move on from this topic, a funny fact about that project: the day that we had all the practical effects of making the world shake, that day there was an earthquake in Vancouver. It was so random, like we're like, hold on, Jeff, is the effect done? I said, no, this is an earthquake.
That was a fun moment.
Yeah. So I mean, for the audience, like if you're viewing, you can put in your start putting your questions in the comment section. I'm seeing we already have some questions that we're gonna ask our esteemed panelists in about 10 to 15 minutes. But maybe going back to Belle, talking about like you were shooting in the mall, shooting at like going to the fire station and whatnot. So is there more of getting any permits and whatnot? So do you see kind of like the kind of say the film office or film commission in Vancouver being more open to working in vertical drama productions? Because historically it's always been, we just shoot in someone's house, we can just bypass a lot of stuff. So is there more of look, for example, Belle, you're from Vancouver, but you're in LA because you're in LA to attend the Los Angeles vertical drama market. There's a market for vertical dramas. Okay, fascinating. So when you talk about kind of like, is there in Vancouver more of an acceptance from the industry for vertical drama production?
Yes. So I think Vancouver right now, they are becoming more and more open and more acceptable for verticals in like shooting in Vancouver. But like for last year, because it was a new thing, it's a new industry, a new format of film in Vancouver. So people like at the beginning, they are kind of confused and don't know what it is. So we have to explain more to the city hall and to the homeowner and to the location owner to let them know what we are filming. And sometimes when we are filming in a private house, we have to inform all the neighbors. And for the filming in the district of that area, to let them know that about what time when we are filming at that location. And at the beginning, you have to write a lot of paperwork and explain a lot of things to them. But until like right now, this year, because more people know about the verticals and they know what we are doing, and they know it's professional and fast-paced production, and nothing different than other normal traditional production. We are like all the same, so they are more open for that, and more location owners, they are willing to let the random house for us. So right now it's more easier for the production to get the location and very good location and get a permit as well.
Yeah, and I see like now like vertical drama, especially in the last year or so.
Yeah.
getting major coverage, like in IndieWire, New York Times, Forbes magazine, LA Times, you name it, and like you're looking at like basically a lot of like film and TV workers who are would be traditionally working in like a TV show or a movie have been working in dramas, vertical dramas for the past year and a half, maybe even more. My next question, okay, so is basically, this originated in China. A lot of Chinese companies who open up U.S. office or North American offices, right? So to basically exploit they're tapping into their library of hundreds, if not thousands, of dramas that they can just translate into English, right? Do you see that? Sure, but that eventually that's going to dry up. But like, do you see now more original scripts made for the Western market being developed instead of just a straight adaptation?
I think for verticals to also get off the bad rep
of the story rep.
Yeah, like I think it has to be, and I also think in order to fully open up the potential of the like Western market, like it has to be with stories that are more rooted within like the cultural context that people are accustomed to. Because even though like a bunch of these shows that are translated perform amazingly well with viewers, I think a lot of people still watch it because it's kind of like really strange. Or of course, there's like the universal human through line of melodrama that people really love. But I think right now the audience is still very limited to like a very specific set of demographics. Whereas I think, like for example, in China, the vertical market has already surpassed film box office. Everybody watches vertical drama on their phone. Whereas I feel like
the billions and billions of dollars of it. It's like a $13.9 billion industry. Yeah.
Yes, and it's only been around for like I just want to throw in like say like 5 years. Like just like the amount of time it has existed, and the amount of time it took to surpass film box office is really astonishing. And I think just like how TikTok was a big deal in China before it totally blew up in North America or just around the world, I think this is exactly what is happening with vertical drama right now. And I think with more people viewing this, with more people working in it, there's going to be more and more of a demand for better content, better stories, stories that are more localized and more suited for the American audience in a way. Right. So it's not just like directly translated Chinese things, because a lot of the stories, like a lot of the plots, are like very uniquely Chinese. Sure. Like it feels really strange when it's like totally translated.
Yeah, white people, like like basically, or non-Chinese people, like characters are just acting all out.
Yeah. Like the discrimination between class.
All right.
And just like that's why like like a lot of Chinese characters are very Chinese. They like bring honor to your family, or like just stuff like that, or even just like New York #5 hospital. Because like in China, all the hospitals are numbered, but like
I see.
Yeah, you know what I mean.
But it's like basically the this type of like soap opera genre. It's like it's not unique to vertical dramas. Like again, we talked about Hallmark Channel or what's the other one, Lifetime, right? Like or even like in the YouTube online space. Do you know Darman?
No.
Darman is like this social influencer filmmaker from. I think he's from California, but he has millions of subscribers. He does like these videos. They're like they're very like girl cheats on boyfriend with coworker, or Karen accuses waiter of hitting on her, like that. And then it gets like millions and millions of views. So it's like it's not unique to vertical dramas or to China or whatever. It's just a particular genre that people gravitate towards, right? It's melodrama, maybe it's like in that sense. It's not my cup of tea, but it's like, it's like something that's very, 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 very popular, So, okay, so basically, let's get into more of the kind of like, again, if anyone has any questions, please put them in the comment section, and we're gonna in a few minutes start putting them up and asking them to our panelists. Miguel, did you want to say
Anderson,
something?
yes, Anderson. Before we move on from this topic about the transform, how Shu, for instance, is translating a lot of cultural stuff. It's super interesting to me that here in Mexico, there is starts to grow the demand for these verticals, and it's really interesting because Mexico, as a like in Latin America, soap operas has been very strong part of our
Yeah,
culture. It has
yeah,
been there
telenovelas.
exactly for
Yeah.
so many years. They actually start at the biggest TV network, launched their first vertical series in town. But surprisingly, um, most of the cultural aspects sometimes relate to Mexican audience about classes, which is,
Yeah,
I mean, is part of what had happened in the history of this country. And but it's interesting because most of the time the cultural adaptation for Mexico or it comes in the dubbing because we're still watching a lot of the American actors. Because for us, we grew up watching a lot of dubbing, and we always watch kind of a lot of North American content or United States specific. And the cultural adaptation is always through that, through how they are speaking, the little jokes. Sometimes they change it slightly, but the essence itself is still there. And it's surprising how much younger audiences. Maybe we're in a different spectrum of audiences, like as a viewer, but my the young adults in Mexico are loving it. Like it doesn't. I thought for a second it was only women who were watching this, but no, even
yeah,
guys, my like really young guys are watching it too, and there is something about it that is engaging, and maybe I don't know, it's something fascinating that I haven't put all the I haven't articulated properly why is it that is they're loving it.
sure,
But
sure. I mean, okay, and then like the thing is that and then we'll start with questions soon. But like, there's one that like there's so many vertical dramas. People are like asking, "Oh, why can't you just watch it on YouTube or something like that?" And because there's a lot of there's a lot of piracy of the full drama, right? That is like on YouTube or Daily Motion or whatever, right? Like it's like, but if they're brand new, it's like they're basically 1 minute to 2 minute episodes that are split up into what 40 episodes or whatever, right? Or maybe more or less. So that's the hook. People are hooked on it, and then they want to see the new episode, and they pay, right, for the next episode, right? And then once it's done, I think usually that's when everything's pirated to people can watch it like a few months later, a few weeks later, right? All on Daily Motion. Um, so that's the thing. So basically, kind of like maybe um, uh, so like going back to the cultural kind of adaptation and maybe cultural kind of like similarities. There's I mean when it comes to Latin American and also and Asian kind of like there's a lot of like especially with melodrama, there are still kind of shared type of likes and kind of like tropes and whatnot, right? So but back to kind of like now, I think this is just of general interest because you see a lot of like Vancouver, like murder drama. You see a lot of like there was an article in like I think the New York Times of like vertical dramas being starting to boom in Atlanta, right? Which has always been a big destination for Hollywood production. Um, so like again, do you see um, is there any opportunities for people who are not Chinese or not, or like, or actually getting into the space of like writing scripts for vertical dramas? Belle, maybe you can talk about that as a producer.
Yeah, of course. So our company, we have in-house writer as well, and she is not Chinese, because we believe that we have, if we want the vertical to be more popular and to be like more common to the audience, we have to combine the Western culture, and we have to let the Western writers to write their own script. So like more and more people can start watching verticals. And I know for some platforms, especially like the top platforms like ReelShort and DramaBox, they also have their own writing department, which is full of Western writers as well, local writers. So I believe that the local writers, they will be more familiar with the local culture, the Western culture, and they can create more different kind of story and people that local people love to watch.
And also the platforms are growing so fast.
Yeah.
Like at such a fast rate, and the demand for content on their platform is just like there's like a huge demand.
What's
And
the refresh rate? How many dramas are always like, for example, let's choose a platform. Which one, like DramaBox, or which one do you use primarily work for? That you produce for?
So DramaBox is the one that we work with the most.
Okay.
I don't know the specific numbers, but the last time we talked to their rep, Bell, correct me if I was wrong, but I think their annual growth rate was like 30% or something like that. Yeah. So and their in-house production is like not meeting the demand. So they're also buying shows from other companies, from production companies, and there's all kinds of different modes of production, just like how films are made. Like films can be made by, like, sponsored by a studio, or there's also like a lot of independent films. I'm actually
basically acquiring.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, got it.
And I'm also seeing like independent vertical dramas being done by just like totally indie teams. Like there's this one that I saw in Vancouver that looks fantastic. Under the, I forget the name. Under the
Steve.
It was like a pirate vertical, and then there was also a vampire indie vertical called Love and Blood that I saw that was also very fantastic.
Okay, cool. Miguel, you want to say something?
No, so good.
Okay. So should we just start? We can start putting up questions from the audience. Maybe we can start off with Tyler Young. I would be grateful for any budget information you can share about producing verticals, size of crew, how many episodes, insurance, crew rates, etc. Who wants to tackle that?
I can answer this question. So, because we are the production company, so the budget is quite dependent on what kind of script we got from the platform. And like normally, if it's an 8-day show, it will be around 160 to 180,000 per show. It's not that high, but it's compared to the first stage of the vertical in Vancouver, it has increased a lot. So, which means the quality is very high as well. And for the size of crew, normally it's a smaller crew compared to the commercials and indie films. We normally have 15 to 20-ish crew members to create the show. And episode, I would say maybe 50 to 65, something like that. And each episode is like 1 to 2 minutes, sometimes 3 minutes. And insurance, yes, every production company needs to get the COI, the insurance, in order to run the.
I think Bell froze.
Bell will be back soon. So like maybe just Bell,
she's back.
Oh, Bell, you're back. Bell, you kind of froze for a second when you were talking about your insurance, which relates.
My
That's okay. Yeah. So I just want just to be clear, like, so I mean, let's just say for argument's sake, you're saying a vertical drama is about 150 to 160,000, maybe let's say under 200,000 budget, right? Like US, budget, right? So, and then you're splitting it up into 1 to 2 minute episodes, like 50 to 65 episodes, and then so that you're delivering how many minutes of content? Is it like a 2 hours of content, or maybe more?
It's normally around 2 hours of content. So it's like a feature film being shot in 8 days.
It's a feature film, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a feature film being shot in like 7 or 8 days,
Yes.
and basically for under for maybe between 150 to 200,000, just for argument's sake, right? So, okay, so and then so that's not much, but do you think, or that's really fast, but do you think because now there's such a demand, I mean, I think is there for new projects, new dramas, do you see, and then also the exponential growth of the market, like you just talked about, basically the DramaBox that you work with,
Yes.
it's just the growth is just like pretty crazy, for after for 1 year. So, do you see budgets growing? Do you see budgets increasing? Do you see scope increasing on the stories?
On my end, I've definitely noticed scope and production value increasing, but I don't deal with the budget myself, so I'm not quite sure.
Sure.
But it's from what Belle just said, it sounds like
Yeah.
the budget has increased from the early, from the
Mhm.
very beginning.
Yeah.
But I think scope has definitely increased in terms of the amount of the kinds of stories that we kind of make. Because the very first one I did was just about like a billionaire CEO in like an office, and it's just mostly domestic spaces. And now
Right.
I'm working we just did one with snipers, so a lot of like specialty scenes. Yeah, so it definitely feels like the scope has increased quite a bit, and I also feel like the capacity of our team through repeated work, like just repeated training, like after all these verticals, what we can deliver within the short amount of time and within limited resources has also increased quite a bit as well. Miguel, if you want to talk about your perspective.
Yeah, my perspective is interesting. I mean, for me, it's interesting because budget, of course, sometimes more money doesn't mean that it's more successful story, which is really interesting because I haven't been present on those projects, but other directors have talked to me about like, oh, watch this, they tried to do a Game of Thrones kind of spin-off and they have like crazy CGI on it, and they spend a lot of money in post-production and it's not a great success, which is interesting to point to have a perspective that is I don't know, it happens. And for instance, we started doing these projects with FX3, a very prosumer camera, and we're moving to FX6. And now there's other companies that they are having featured a Pee-wee Dolly on set with array cameras, full on, vertically. And I mean, I won't say that is bad. I won't say that is the budget starts growing and moving to other places,
Mm.
which is really
Yeah.
interesting. It's healthy. It's healthy for the industry and it's healthy for the audience as well to start watching other stuff and maybe better craft and in their cell phones.
What's funny is like I is like maybe not off topic, but because I just watched a recent film that's coming out soon, like so an indie film, but it's an American Western, like all shot in Texas, and it's the comeback of this actor who was canceled or whatever, but this is his return to movies, and but the main star, the actor, the hero of the film, like very handsome, very very he's the main cowboy, and I was like, oh, I've never seen this guy before in my life. He's pretty good. He's very very strapping kind of cowboy. Like a very handsome and like that. And I go, he looks like he could be almost like a cover of a front cover of like a romance novel. That kind of handsome, right? So I just look at the press kit. He's like a star of all these vertical dramas. Well, this is his first, it's like this guy from Texas, I think, but this is his first kind of like feature film kind of acting debut as a star. But like became very popular just through vertical dramas, which is fascinating.
Honestly, I understand. I feel like vertical drama has been such an amazing training ground to practice our craft for each and every single person involved. It's just been like repeated exercise, just like indie filmmaking on steroids, like limited resources, but you're trying to deliver something that's like very high production value. And it's been great. It's been so much fun to just troubleshoot and problem solve and try to figure out like the most budget efficient way to deliver something that looks extravagant, because most of the stories take place in very intensely rich places.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I always call it on set with Shu when we're trying to do a French over or like something complex. I'm like, oh shoot, help me out here. It's kind of heavy mental gymnastic right now. How are we going to do this? And it become a catchphrase on set, you know. But complementing what is Shu saying, yeah, I feel like it's a great place to experiment to one extent. I think because of the format, the audience still expecting cinema feeling. But creating the cinema feeling with the camera vertically, it has to go a different process of thought. And another way that I find that is amazing is the way that we can recycle, or not, I don't know if it's the word recycle, but it could be, I would say recycle, locations and spaces to make them feel different, or that we are in a different environment, which is being key for us, and to keep it sustainable, to be able to keep going.
No different from Indian cinema or anything. Yeah, typically, yeah. So let's go back to the question. So from Sacker, what is the story arc of a vertical episode? How is a hook or ending decided? And what's the process of that? Can you talk about kind of the format? These are 1 or 2 minute episodes. I mean, there's always got to be a cliffhanger, right? So like it's like basically 50 to 60 cliffhangers, or.
I actually did like a deep research on this. Okay. So not every episode have to end on a cliffhanger. As long like if you really just watch everything together, it does feel like just like a traditional film. But I think the key places to have cliffhangers is like the first minute, maybe the first 10 minutes. Every minute should have like some kind of like intense development. And then on the 10-minute mark, which is normally where the paywall is, so you wanna have a cliffhanger here around the 10th minute, so people can pay to watch what happens next. It doesn't have to be like a cliffhanger with every episode. But I do think what's more important is what they call like the social media ad, like the segment that's being used as social media ad, because this is like the thing that hooks people the most and get them to go to the platform and like pay for the episodes. And then also like, I think having some really intense dramatic moment helps, but I think a lot of it is actually blocking techniques, like action. So it's basically like, for example, say you're scrolling on Instagram and you stumble upon a vertical drama ad. Like a lot of times you notice they open with slaps or like water being poured on someone's face. In the beginning, I was like, oh, what is this trash? Like, why is this so cringy? But now I totally understand, like these things kind of like biologically hooks your attention. Like when you're scrolling and you see just like two people talking about like how sad they are, unless they're like amazingly attractive to you, like you probably will find it boring and scroll past. But if you see like a person slapping someone and you're like, whoa, what is this? What is going on? Or even better, like water being poured. Like I was very confused why so many vertical scripts feature like water being poured in people's faces, or just like water being poured in general. But I realized it's like a very social media driven decision. It's something that hooks your attention right away. So like similar things you can design with blocking, such as falling, or it's like is that photographic technique, like the decisive moment. I forget the photographer, he's like really famous. Decisive moment. So it's like always open with a decisive moment, which is like something that's about to happen. But very social media, like it's a very social media technique.
I mean, especially because the blocking is so important because it's vertical, obviously, right? So
yeah.
Miguel, can you maybe talk about the positioning of how do you kind of frame your action or framing in general, since it's vertical?
It's been a journey. It's been a long journey for me to get my look, I guess, because I'm developing my own look now in this format. I'm very passionate about portrait photography. So when I joined this, I found like the merge of my two passions in one. That is like that's how I like to take portraits vertically, and it's about like how it responds to lens with the faces especially. Normally we use a lot of 24s in horizontal filmmaking, and then you have beautiful wides. But when you put a 24 millimeter lens on a camera that is full frame, for instance, all the lines starts to curve, which is not appealing and is not attractive to the eye. So it's been a journey about realizing what are the lenses to use the most to achieve the cinema look. Because I feel like normal some YouTube channels, they have clips of movies and they cut it vertically,
Yeah,
or
yeah, yeah.
in 4.5 by 5,
For
there is an
TikTok.
for TikTok, or
Yeah.
and that look is harder, is a mental gymnastic to achieve it with the camera vertically, because it's not the same distortion of the faces. So there's a lot of long lenses. I use a lot of long lenses. I don't go the widest lens that I told myself that I'm allowed to use is 35 millimeters. Sometimes I have to break the rule, but it's part of the game. Um, and lighting wise, it's been a pull and push regarding the content. I know back when I was part of the cruise of movies of the week, I remember being a Dolly grip and hearing the conversation between the director of photography and the director, and they're saying like, "Well, TV has to be bright because when people are watching TV and they watch something dark, they change it right away because it's not appealing to them." So that applies sometimes in this world, because you have like Shuri is saying, you have to hook the people right away in a massive storm of content. Everybody has so much access to so much views or so much different options, so you have to hook them. So at the beginning I was doing a lot of dark contrast, and then I started doing more high key, and it's been a push and pull. Sometimes some companies or some clients, they prefer brighter, some other clients, they prefer a little bit more of moodiness in their picture. So it's been a journey. I'm not really sure what's the real answer for that regarding contrast and high key or low key. I think it's more of a gamble that we take with the team. So like, let's do it. Okay, let's see what happens. Maybe we get a phone call. Well, let's see what happens. But that has been my journey with the image.
Yeah, and then shoot, just talking about the decisive moment. I think the photographer was Henri Cartier-Bresson, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I forgot. I had to look it up. I know. Yeah. It's like, yeah, I'm not that smart. But like anyway, let's go for a couple more questions. Jackie Chang, with vertical drama being a relatively new platform, can the panelists offer any predictions on trajectory of the platform? What will verticals be like in the next 2 to 5 years as it becomes more mainstream? Look, there was an article. There was like I think a trade, like I think Variety or something like that. Like I think one of the unions, I think WGA, like, oh, vertical dramas are can be union projects. You're looking at lots of investment in like in that like or as that becomes more accepted into the industry. But when you guys you're all working in this space, what do you see the trajectory of the vertical dramas as a not only a genre but also as a platform, whatnot, in the next, like, say maybe next year, next in 1 to 3 years?
I think if we want to see where the North American verticals will be in 2 to 5 years, you can probably just look at where Chinese verticals are at right now. Belle, I think you have a lot of experience and knowledge about this.
Yes, I have to say, like right now, the North American vertical genres is still very limited. Because I know like vertical just started a couple years in North America, but like right now in China, there are a lot of genres. It's just like feature films already. We have thrillers, we have suspense film, we have reality shows, a lot of things. are happening. A lot of script happening in China. It's not just
even reality shows.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, interesting. Okay.
And I noticed that we have reality shows in North America as well right now. So which is a very big step from last year. So I feel like maybe in next 2 or 3 years, the verticals in North America will have more genres and more different kind of stories. And most importantly, I feel like, especially like right now, the virtual production, the AI is developing so much. I feel like in the past 3 to 5 years, even like we can combine more of the AI technology to the verticals as well. Because like right now in China, we have fully AI verticals, and like real persons AI, and also the animation AI as well.
Got it. Interesting. Can you talk about like maybe Shu and Miguel like working in Vancouver and these productions and whatnot? Like it's like, I mean, I think you touched upon like again like cameras are being better cameras. Those are basically just getting maybe it's a challenge now to get more personnel, qualified personnel, because now the industry is kind of back and up and running. But to see kind of like how maybe even the next vertical drama you're working on next, right? You're working on in this fall. Is it any different from vertical drama that you worked on last year?
I feel like the approach that I'm taking to verticals has developed in a positive way, and we are taking it more towards more blocking, like Shu is sharing with us. I feel like there's going to be, in my feeling, there's going to be interesting moments, and I feel like for the crew, maybe not that challenging. Maybe for producers and talent, maybe a different ocean or different points of view. For instance, in Vancouver, there was a moment where one of the actresses, actually for Mafia Tenders Torture, she boomed. She was huge, but then she was booming at the same on TV, and she was booming in traditional filmmaking. And then within 5 months, she became a union member, and then by becoming a union member, she couldn't perform in this world, which he developed a huge fan base, which is like it's a push and pull moment for her, like
Right.
because she can get more projects in the vertical landscape, but she may lose her membership, which the membership allows her to go to different projects, for instance, unionized projects.
Yeah.
So it's an interesting process for her, especially. I feel like in the future, a lot of unions are going to be more flexible, are going to be more flexible and understand the process of how quick these projects should. I think regarding technicians and other guilds, for instance, I feel like the directors guild may start getting more opening or start creating more projects vertically for members to have practice. I feel like in the IATSE world may not be something appealing because of the budget. They need more budget to be part of the IATSE realm. And I feel like maybe the ICG, the International Camera Guild, maybe start creating workshops, because again, it's a new way to approach cinema. But I think it's slow for technicians and guilds. Maybe slower than the industry of clients and apps and technology. I find that there's in a different pace.
But you see a lot of, I mean, it's a great entry point for like new and upcoming kind of tradespeople, right? Camera operators and whatnot, to start working on in these projects.
Absolutely,
right?
especially with how gate kept the traditional filmmaking industry is, at least for directors, especially to break out in Hollywood, has been so challenging. in terms of, like you get all these different advices. Oh, you have to like apply for these labs. You have to like develop your feature. You have to like raise like a few $1 million to make like a feature film debut, and all these things. And you end up spending years working on one project. Whereas with verticals, you do one every few weeks if you want to. And it's just been like, you really get to put your craft into practice, which I'm very grateful for. I feel like I'm a much more like competent filmmaker compared to where I was even just last year, just from the sheer amount of like working hours clocked in, like working with the actors, working with the crew, trying out different techniques, like see what works and see what don't work. Like a lot of things don't work, but you have to like really make the mistake to kind of really understand why they don't. And it's been an amazing experience. But yeah, I feel like the verticals we're making now are much more sophisticated compared to what we were able to deliver like last year. Because like just with the amount of pages, like this time last year, I was only doing like static cameras, very basic coverage, and just like things were just very basic because we were already struggling to just make the day just with the amount of pages that we have to shoot. But now I feel like we're able to really experiment with techniques, like experiment with camera movement, things being more having things be more stylized, and then also having like a very like competent team who's so familiar with each other's process, can just like really be an extension of each other, and then just really try things that are kind of like experimental in a lot of ways, and then still see how it works in like a melodrama context. And I think it's been very interesting as well.
Yeah. Okay, so we got to wrap things up. So I got 2 more questions, right? So I got, so first of all, because I've known you for a few years now, and like your trajectory of like as a filmmaker working in vertical dramas, and like what do you like I think what you love about it is that because you've now are working with a great crew that you have a great working relationship with your crew, with Miguel, with Belle, and whatnot. Like you're working with the same people on each project. You have a great tight crew, right? So do you see this as a great way to kind of like, this is not only kind of like exclusive to vertical dramas, but you can like, if you want to make your sci-fi movie, to go back in the traditional space, well, you at least you were like, oh, I know this is who I want to work with, for another format, like a feature film, or maybe a more traditional TV series or a documentary, right? Is that correct?
Absolutely. Just the amount of hours we've clocked in working with each other, trying to figure out each other's process and how each other's mind works. And just how like now I feel like we can just really communicate very seamlessly, like with just limited word, even just with a look, like we know what each other wants or what the issue is. I feel like this kind of like camaraderie and just kind of like relationship is so valuable and will really make the like other projects, like if we do end up making bigger projects, like I think we'll make the process much bigger. And yes, and it is very much my plan to just make bigger projects with the same team because I love everybody so much.
And then my final question is like, again, talking about how look in Hawaii here, the TV. This is the first year. This is like the first time in like I was like 60 years where there's no active Hollywood production happening, right? Usually there's be a TV series like a CSI or a NCIS or Hawaii Five-0 or a Lost or maybe a Jurassic Park or what have you, but there's nothing happening at this moment, right? Like for months, maybe even up to a year. Do you see there's been a lot of interested parties of people wanting to work in vertical dramas, making like say a vertical drama that's like about a melodrama that's set in the surfing, like or whatnot, like in Hawaii, like it's like, do you see there's advantages for that, and how would filmmakers who want to kind of come up with an idea to develop and produce a vertical drama set in Hawaii, what would be the process of like kind of pitching to the different platforms, pitching to a studio, whatnot? Because like Belle, you talked about, yes, you have these companies or have their own in-house teams, but at the same time, because there's just a need for more dramas to be a refresh on the platforms. these production companies are also acquiring independently financed and produced projects as well, right? So can you maybe give some pointers of like how people like producers and filmmakers in Hawaii can also get into the vertical drama game and develop their own projects here in Hawaii to kind of be part of the vertical drama space?
Yeah, sure, of course. So I feel like there are a couple of ways to get involved in the verticals. So first of all, if you have connection to the platform, then go talk to them and pitch your idea and show them your showreel, your cases, that anything you've done before, and talk to them and like basically just get connection to them. And another way is to create your own verticals. Like it happens all the time, like right now not only in Los Angeles, but also in Vancouver as well. Like people, they write their own script, and even for our company as well, we write our own script and we shoot it and we pitch it to the platforms, and we can sell it to the platforms as well. So I would say like the major way to get enough good content. If you have good content, the platform, they will come look for you as well. So, and I would say like in Hawaii is a really good place for verticals. Like the location, the scenery is brilliant and it's amazing. So I feel like if it's especially for the natures, and it's perfect for the vertical dramas. But I feel like the main challenge is to build the local crew and distribution. But I feel like with the right partners, if you find the right crew, Hawaii can be the next hotspot for verticals as well, just like Vancouver.
Just thinking about the beaches is so romantic and sexy, and exactly what they want.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then Belle, you're in LA right now because you're participating in the vertical market. Can you talk about more about that, or the actual kind of market itself?
Yes, so it's the first day of the vertical market in LA right now. It was like a few
and is it called the Los Angeles vertical market? What's it called?
Yes, Los Angeles vertical market.
Okay,
so
great.
They have invited a lot of platforms and a lot of production companies to talk about what is vertical and what is the future of the verticals. And they also have like a script development lab, something like that, to teach people how to write verticals. And it mainly is for the filmmakers in vertical area, for the network, and also have a lot of booths for independent verticals. Like there's a vertical like developed in Vancouver. They are joining the vertical market as well. So they are here to look for distributors and platforms to buy their verticals as well.
Okay, so for the audience, it's like the LA vertical drama market. So I just searched it, and it's just started today. So I'm sure that's going to be one of many types of markets that will be happening, through the calendar year, right? So, okay, so thank you very much, Shu, Belle, Miguel, for joining on this very. I was very fascinated by this panel discussion, and good luck with everything that you're doing in the vertical drama market, and also all your other projects. They don't have to be verticals, but and whatnot. But it's great that you've kind of like found a space to work actively, not only work sustainably, but also forge great relationships and also test kind of the limits of what you can to grow as a filmmaker, as a creative, right? So thank you very much for being a part of this, and thank you for the audience for being part of HIFILM. Just some quick things. Our festival, the 45th annual Hawaii International Film Festival, presented by Halekulani, HIF 45, is happening right around the corner, October 15th to 29th in Oahu, and then various states in November in neighbor islands. And also the HIFILM Industry Conference at Chaminade University, which is a 3-day conference on, basically it encapsulates all of our panels on the industry itself. That's on October 24th to 26th in the Chaminade University campus. For all other information, I'm sure you already know this, but it's at www.hif.org, hif.org. Perfect. Right? Just repeat what it just says. So thank you very much for being here, Shu, Miguel, and Bell. And then for the audience, we'll see you soon in a couple weeks at HIF 45. Mahalo.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
Okay.